and welcome to our Philatelic seminar, British India Postal Stationery using Gulf. I would like to introduce myself, Virendra Sharma. He has already won FIP with gold medal on his own stationery, and he is very keen and is having experience of exhibiting and collecting postal station from last 20 to 25 years. And he worked in the Middle East as well, so he knows the area. And so I hope that today's seminar will be beneficial to the new and senior philatelists, especially the postal stationery collectors. I would like to invite Mr. Virendra Sharma.
Thanks, Mr. Javed. Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who have joined here in this presentation. So most of the things that we are going to discuss is just a demo or the presentation of the British India postal stationery. Those were specifically used in area of Gulf, right? So of course in the presentation there is no scope or no boundary, but so let's start with introduction. British India established postal services and agencies. Those were in operation in the Gulf, and there were several postal stationaries across the Gulf, not only the one, and mostly at the 19th century or early 20th century they were in there, and in specifically they were in Iran, Bahrain, Kuwait, Muscat, and later Dubai also, and where Indian stamps and stationery and the postmarks were used. And Dubai Post Office specifically was opened in 909, and this was managed by British India Postal Authorities, right? So this was about introduction. We will go according to chronological manner. So we are starting with the Queen Victoria stationery. In most of the period, this was the period where most of the Queen Victorian stationery was, you can say, in a law, in a use of this particular region. So as I said, when we are starting chronologically, so this is the envelope of Queen Victoria. So on the top, which I am describing, is which type of stationery it is, and in the middle talking about from the postal history angle, from where it was used and where it was sent. So this particular envelope was EA4 from Derrick Lang. You can this is the reference, and this was issued in 1875, and this is having postmark 309. It's a numerical cancellation, JC type 4. It's a Jal Cooper as the author of the cancellation book. So this particular is JC type 4 cancellation, the early India cancellation, and this was for Muscat, Oman. And at the back there is another postmark Muscat, and this went to Karachi. And the first post office in Muscat was opened on 1st of May 1864, and that was originally under Bombay Postal Circle, and immediately after few years it was transferred to Sindh, Karachi, and again it came back to Bombay in 1879. So this was in operation of Oman. Bushra, Iraq. So this particular issue of 1874 EA6, Derrick Lang number, the postal stationery, and this Busra envelope was used in the later 19th century from Busra to Bombay. During this type of cancellation was not having the year, it was having only date and the month. So it's late 18th, and India operated post offices in Baghdad and Basra from 1868 to 1914. This is another example used on ED8. This is the stationery was issued in 1871. Again Muscat, this is a duplex cancellation of Muscat. When we say duplex, it's having the K3, that is the Jal Cooper type 32, and the circle that you can see the Muscat, and this went to from Muscat to Bombay. Of course, means, if you have anything which you want to add or collaborate, or maybe you want to ask anything, please feel free to do that. This is not only the one directional presentation, it's about the knowledge sharing. What I can learn from you, that would be great. This is another example. This is a later period of envelope. This is 1883 issue, and this particular circular cancellation, which was commonly used during late 19th century. So it's 1900, sorry, it was my typo. It's 1900, not 1800. It's from Muscat to Jam Khambalia. It's a Jamnagar, Khambalia. It's a place in the Gujarat, and this was the local postage rate for British India. So entire British India was having the same rate under quarter tola, and up to 1 tola to half tola, it was a different rate for altogether. Eden. So all stamps and stationery, those were from 1857 onwards. British India started their post office there, and they used till you can say 1920, till 1920 they have used British India stationery and the stamps, and this was one of the British India colony, those who have used all type of stationery and stamps of British India. So this is a particular example of 1891, that is the EL2, and this envelope is having the double rate, which was for additional adhesive of 2.5 anna, 2 annas plus half anna. So to make the rate double, which was more than quarter tola, it is. And this is the destination, is also a scale destination. It's a Republic of Argentina. So one this is and for the foreign country it was ons, and for local British India it was a tola. This is another example, went from Aden to San Marino. San Marino is inside Italy, so just surrounding all the boundaries of Republic of San Marino is inside the Italy itself. So it's a very scarce destination, and during those periods the population was only in few thousands of this thing. So you can understand about that, how scarce that destination was. And this went from 1892, and Rimini was the last post office inside Italy itself. From Italy to San Marino, that was delivered by hand. Another example, this is a great example of probably this is only one known registered use from Momera. Momera means there is a two type of spellings they comes in mostly, is Momera and Momera. So this particular envelope, which is having 2 anna 6 pi, is the postal stationery rate, and half anna, because this was inside British India itself. So this is delivered to Allahabad, India. So the rate for weight up to 1.5 tola, this was the rate applicable during this period. So it's 1 anna, and rate for registration was 2 anna across the India for during that period. So this is the registered used with additional adhesive of half anna. This is another use of from Bushire, that is went to Germany, and this particular is 2 anna 6 pi. Here the 2 annas is for registration, and the rest is for the overseas postage. This is another interesting envelope, which is the forces envelope, which we say is a soldier and seaman's envelope, and this used from Baghdad and came back to India. And again, as I said, during this period there was no year was mentioned, so it's late 19th century, from Baghdad, used by 19th 6th Infantry British Army and sent to Bombay. So at the left hand side you can see that they used to write their offices and the commanding who is sending that. So this rate 1 anna was only for the soldiers. For others, it was 2 on a 6 pi rate. So this was, you can say, the concession rate, or you they have provided a specific rate only for the soldiers. Moving towards the postcard section, this is used from Bushehr. Bushehr was in Iran. This is the one of the early period cancellation. Bushehr CL1. This is the first UPU postcard of British India. It's a single card. It's not the reply. It's a single card that went from Bushehr to Germany. You're having a Jal Cooper type cancellation postmark, that is a 28B. This one is used from Aden, and this one is the reply postcard of the domestic postcard. This is for domestic use. Quarter anna was rate during that period for entire British India, and the rate for overseas postcard that time was the 1 anna. So they have fixed 1 anna on top of it and mentioned the postage prepaid strike on top of stamp, you can see. But the postal authorities have not accepted this stamp, and they have marked this as a tax T, and 7.5 centimeters was the postage due, and the letter went from Aden to Germany. And this one is the first reply postcard of Queen Victoria, British India, which is having the original coat of arms, which you can see in the center itself. This is the next issue of domestic postcard, quarter anna again, which is having a redrawn coat of arms in the center. So there is a change in coat of arm of British coat of arm itself, and this went from Aden to Banaras. Banaras is one of the city in India. So as Aden was part of British India, so there was no any additional stamp was used, and this came for when quarter anna itself. So example from Baghdad. So this particular is the CL4, which is having provisional overprint 1 anna on top of 1.5 anna. Rate got reduced in UPU postcard, and this particular postcard was sent from Baghdad to England, means via Bombay, and Bombay to England. So you can say this, around 50% of path it came back to from this. And in Aden, in Baghdad, as I said, those were stationaries were valid till 1918. This is a very good use of registered postcard used from Bushehr. So generally, the postcard or registered is very difficult. So this is the registered use. 2 anna was registration charge fees, and this was sent from Bushehr to Germany on 1898. This is again very interesting postcard. Prim Island means you all know about it. It's how scary source and destination both it is. It was a British India established a coal factory in that. So all ships they used to upload the coal on all ships while going from India to UK. So this was the station where they have to fuel the coal. And that particular Prim Island, it's a very small, it's having around 200 kilometers from Aden. So that time in Prim there was no post office. So they used to take by hand from Aden to Prim and then Prim to Aden. And then they deployed one of the government officer who was working in some other department. They have given him authority of handling the postal charges additionally. So this is the use of 1898. You can see at the back here mentioned Prim 18 June 1898. So went from Holland, went to Holland. Muscat use example of CI1, the later part of the UPU, 1 anna, used from Muscat to Karachi. Another interesting city is Jask. From Just to England. Another city, that is Bandar Abbas. So there are very few stationery they exist specifically from JASK, Bandar Abbas, Momera. Those were very scarce examples, and this went from Bandar Abbas to Bombay, and this one is the reply card of this one. Yeah, this is the reply portion of that, went from 1897. Reply still attached, used from Bahrain to Germany, attached, still attached. So the section, that is a registration envelope, and used from Aden to Germany. So what the sender have done, sender haven't used this as a registered envelope. There was a 2 anna 6 pi rate for overseas postage. So he have just kept 2 anna, which is stamp of registration, and half anna he have kept the additional one, but they have not considered that the stationary postage as a normal postage, so mark this as a text. And this one particular is the top knife. This is a knife type 1, center pasted. So Pratisad is here. He have written the book on that, and there is a, he have mentioned, like, which type of this thing. So in general, I have not seen any example of knife 2 used in Gulf area. So I'm not sure. Probably that wasn't supplied, or maybe that is very scarce examples. So I have not seen that. Registration envelope used from Bandar Abbas to Austria in 1887. This is used from Aden to Germany, having 2 anna 6 pi double rate here. So that is for the double postage. This is a long registration envelope of Queen Victorian period. This is another interesting use from Bushra, and this came to Bombay, and in 1892 they have sent from Bushra to Bombay, and with additional franking of 4 half anna, that is making its 2 anna, that is rate up to 2 tola. So within India, as I said, there was a tola, and for overseas it was ons. This is the official envelope, which is on Her Majesty's service, was written on top of it on these stationery, and the direct link type is SED1, and issue of 1895. This is a thick envelope, and this one is used from Aden to Aden, within Aden itself. This is one of the early postcard, service postcard, and that is from Bushire to Bombay, and example is used of 1887. Again, this was a quarter anna was the local rate. Another example, this is the issue of 1887, and this particular example, that you can see that at the third line, this is the reverse. This is the one type of stationery which is the CO2/3, and this was sent from Aden camp to Streamer Point, which was the Aden post office. So the first post office was in Crater, and then Streamer Point. This is another stationery which is having the third line as a sender, and this particular is a very interesting because this was forwarded to Prim Island, because as I said, there was no post office during that period, so there was no cancellation of that thing, but this thing was sent to Aden, and from Aden to redirected to Prim Island. So Fort St. George to Aden, and then it was forwarded for Prim Island. Now another section, that is the British India King Edward VII stationery. There are some examples of that. So most of the examples, the varieties in that, they were also less issued during that period. If you have to compare between King Edward and the Queen Victoria region. So this particular example is used from JASC, and this is a CJ1 UPU King Edward postcard, and this was passed, censored by Karachi and sent from JASC to Karachi. Bushra, again same type of stationery. Bushra is a large cancellation. Probably this is the one cancellation we find most during King Edward and George V period. You can see this cancellation is used from Bushra. Sometimes we spell it Basra to Berlin. Another example used from Bahrain, 1910, from Bahrain to Germany. Baghdad, from same type of stationery, it's Baghdad from Belgium. This is a very interesting usages of one ana carmine, the same type of stationery. This is surcharged with Turkish two-liner used from Ottoman field post, and this is having Keribachi, which was near to Baghdad, and forwarded to Commander Ibrahim at the headquarter of 6th Army at Baghdad. So probably this is the military use during that period, which is having surcharge in that. Now some stationery of King George V, which is Bushire from England. This one is the UPU postcard in carmine color. So during that time, many post offices they started, changing the transfer from British India to the native post offices. So the use of those stationery get less. George VI stationery. Starting with the envelope. So this is the George VI stationery used from Muscat to US with the additional franking for registration envelope. So I have not computed that, but yeah, that's the interesting uses. Field Forces envelope. This was the pink type ME11. So this was used by British Indian Section Base Office number 7, that was in Iraq and sent to India. Right. So its number was base number 7 and used from Iraq, and this is having the ME11. This is the pink wove paper. So generally uses of this stationery is available, but yeah, of course used from this particular region, and that is not this one is from Egypt, FPO number 53. Same type of stationery used from Egypt to Bombay, India. That's 6. This is another type of envelope that is in cream color, and this usage is envelope itself is a very scarce. So there are only few examples known of this particular color, and as it was a soldier cover, so the only army members, they were having authority to use that, and 8 ana was charged. So this was used from, again, the section base number 7 from Iraq to India. This is the very interesting example. In October 1947, Dubai post office was transferred from Bombay to Pakistan, and only few months it was under Pakistan. This is the example registration envelope, Nasik print. Envelope was printed in the Nasik. Stamps were also printed in Nasik, used from Dubai to Sweden. It's a registration use of that, from Sharjah airport to Sweden. Right. So the original number was REI1, Derek Lang number of registration analog, and this was the last range of stationery of British India period. By this, I will thanks Emirates Philately Society and organizing committee of Sharjah 2024 to giving this opportunity to present here, and of course my sincere gratitude to Mr. Sandeep Jaiswal, Mr. Ajit Singhi, and Mr. Sunil Ranasaria, who have helped me in providing their scans. So thanks to them, and these are some references where I have referred all those information, and many of them they are nowadays available internet also, many archivals of that. And if you have any question, comment, feedback, please welcome.
The last slide you gave us, the last slide of the Dubai dictionary, that one, the only one I see.
Yeah, that is very scary. Means even.
Can you go back to that slide?
Yeah, sure.
The one that says Sharjah Airport.
This one, yeah. I never seen this slide.
So as I said, in October 1947, this came under Pakistan postal authorities, and it was only for the few months. I believe, I think 10 months. I don't remember exactly, but it was only for the few months. And this is a registration use of that example.
I'm trying to find where it says Sharjah. There is no Sharjah Airport.
So.
It's in the what? BOAC Sharjah. Oh, your books Dubai.
Yeah. Before.
The line before. Okay. Sharjah Airport, is that all?
No, it's
Sharjah
Sharjah.
Airport.
Yeah, Sharjah opened in 1932.
Thank you.
Right.
But you're right, it's a very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. So, any other, if you have any question, feedback, comment, I will. Means, of course, there were many other examples which, due to time, I was not able to digitalize those, specifically in the region of Dubai. So, mostly they were, you can find in the during King George VI period. So. Okay. Shukran, Alf Shukran for joining this, and I'm very happy that you all have attended this thing and made me very proud. Thank you.
Thank you very much.